Alright, so moving on to our next Patreon request, and this one comes from Tom Hibbert, who asked me to do a pretty fascinating crossover. As you can see, Silent Hill and Black Lagoon. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can hit the third tier that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started with the video. So, this story begins in Roanapur. And what's going on is that Hotel Moscow gets in contact with Revy, and Rock comes along too, and they're kind of being vague as to what's going on. They're just kind of like, well, it's better you just come and see this, right? Like, it's best you just come and see what the hell this is, because even we don't know how to take this. And Revy's just like, come on, sis, you have got to tell me what's going on. Because you don't act this like, you're acting shadier than usual. And Balalaika is just kind of like, we just didn't know how the fuck to respond to this. We really just did not know how to... They've been this person came to us asking for you. And they're like, me? Why? Do they want to fight or something? And Balalaika's like, no, you might want to just see this. So they take Revy, they tell Rock, like, hey, they're asking for Revy specifically, so you're just gonna have to wait. So Balalaika opens the door to this padded cell they have, and to this private room they have, like, down, it's like a dungeon almost. They open it up, and there's this guy there, standing in the darkness, like, Rebecca, it's so good to see you again. And Revy's like, excuse me, do I fucking know you? And he's like, yeah, we go way back. Yeah, you and I know each other, you know? It's been a while. And there's like, Revy like steps forward to get closer into the cell to like get a better look at this guy. But what happens is that she steps and sees like blood on the floor. She looks up and like the guy has been skinning himself with like a makeshift shiv and just peeling skin off like a goddamn like potato peeler. And he's been skinning himself, and he's just like, they sent me to talk to you. They sent me to like be the messenger for you. And they're like, who's they, asshole? Because she finally recognizes who it is, and it freaks her out because he's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, they needed to see you again. They're all waiting for you. And he just like drops dead from the blood loss. And they're all the members of Hotel Moscow come in. And he's like, well, that was weird. Do you know him? And she goes, yeah, he was one of the cops that raped me back in the day. Like, back when I was a kid, he was one of the cops who took their turns on me. And they look, and that's when Rock says, guys, there's that. And they're written in blood is a message saying, go to Silent Hill. And they're like, Silent Hill? What is Silent Hill? And Balalaika's like, well, I don't know, but like, I've heard rumors. I've heard stories about that town in America. It doesn't exist after some kind of nuclear fallout incident, but all I've heard of this are just stories. It's like an urban legend, and it seems like they want you to go there specifically. So Revy is like, well, fuck it, I'm not going. But the more she, like, that night, she's kind of laying in her room thinking, and it's just a haunting thought of, there's something out there for me. There's something out there, and it wants to see me. So Revy packs her shit and tells the rest of the Lagoon company, I'll be back in, like, 2 weeks. Like, I'm just gonna settle shit. And Rock's, like, demanding, I'll go with you, Revy, it's fine. And she's like, no, Rock, you gotta stay here. This is shit I gotta deal with personally. And that's final. Like, you are gonna stay here and you know, play, you know, she's like, you could just, like, I don't know, have thoughts of me when you rub one out. She even, like, as an added bonus, because this would totally be Revy, she, like, pulls her shirt up, shows her breast to him, and is like, here, have that as a mental image, pulls her shirt, puts her shirt back down. And she's just like, hey, you can whack one off when I'm gone. Or like 10, I don't fucking care. I'll be back, Rock. So Revy leaves. She goes to the town, because Balalaika's been digging up information for her, and they're like, yeah, it's somewhere in this state, So she goes and is asking around for Silent Hill, like, where is Silent Hill? And people are like, either don't fucking go there, or that place is a myth. So eventually she does, like, as she's rented a car, she's like driving around, and then she sees a Welcome to Silent Hill sign, and she's like, well, here we go. This is what, she walks in, she's got her guns with her, and she walks in, she crosses the threshold and goes into Silent Hill, and, like, the air is just so, like, thick with fog. It's just a place that's just so dense. The air is so dense. It's almost like choking her. The city itself, like the town itself, is just silent, much like the name. And she's like, this. She's like, at this point, because Revy has no subtlety, she's like, calls out into the fog and is like, hey, whichever asshole sent that fucker to come talk to me, I'm here. You want to talk or do you want to die? Your choice. And her response comes in the form of one of the creatures from Silent Hill 2 that are just like walking around looking like they got a bag over them, and she's like, what the fuck? And she goes to like pull her gun, and she pulls the gun, and like she pulls the trigger and the gun's gone. And she's like, what the fuck? She reaches for her other gun, both of her guns are gone. So now she's like, what the fuck? So she runs, escapes the creature, and from there on out, Revy is now like basically thrown into a world of like shadows and horrors. And she has no way to defend herself. She has to like depend on using like any weapon she can get a hold of and fight. She's using anything she can find, like fire extinguishers, planks of wood, anything that can be used as a weapon. And she's like, guns or no guns, I'm still Revy. I'm still fucking Revy. So as she's going further into Silent Hill to like try now, because now she's like, I don't care what this message was, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And she goes through one door, and she finds herself back in the New York precinct that she was raped in, and she's going through, and it's like all just like rotted and decayed, and she sees like the other officers who had assaulted her. And they're all like, this is how it happened, right? We did this to you, and we made you a monster. Or were you already a monster, Two Hands? Or was that the excuse you wanted to give, that we were the reason you became what you are? And by that point, that's when, Pyramid Head just comes bursting through, and Revy, of course, has to run for her life from Pyramid Head. Goes and opens another doorway, finds herself standing over the corpse of her father that she gunned down. Eventually, she does fall, while she's running from Pyramid Head, she does eventually run into a pool, and in that pool, it's just she dives into this pool to escape from Pyramid Head, and she goes under. But the more, she finds out it's getting deeper and deeper, and she's trying to, swim back up, and she's trying to hold on to what air she has in her lungs. But the more, she's seeing, bodies float up, and as she starts to recognize them, they're bodies of people she's killed. All these different bodies are just floating up, and just horrifying her, to the point she finally gets to the surface and just starts screaming. She pulls herself out of the water, encounters more monsters, and eventually it just gets so mentally destructive for her that eventually she does find her way out and back to her, she finds that after everything she gets spat back out where she started in Silent, at the start of everything, at the sign, and she's looking around, because at this point she's like, I don't know if I can trust this or not. But she does finally is okay, this is real. I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna go. So she heads home. She's freaked out, and she's just kind of quiet, and she stays quiet for 2 weeks. and no one tries to, like, bother her about it or ask her anything. And eventually, Rock just sits down and goes, hey, do you want to talk about it? And she's like, fuck off, Rock. And he's like, okay. He goes to leave, and she's like, wait a minute, let me just... Alright, let's talk. So that's for the... So, there you go, guys. That is the Black Lagoon Silent Hill crossover. I want to thank Tom Hibbert for this Patreon request and continued patronage. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.